Okay, let's unpack this. Today we're diving into something, well, something so universally human. Pretty much everyone experiences it. And yeah, that definitely includes us.
Mm-hmm.
Is that urge to compare ourselves to others, that common comparison trap that just so often leaves us feeling kind of not enough.
Exactly. You see a friend's career suddenly taking off, or maybe a coworker seems to have this perfect life, or heck, even just someone on social media.
Right?
And suddenly that little voice starts whispering, doesn't it? Why am I not like them? What's wrong with me? It's often quiet, maybe even unconscious.
But it chips away.
Mm-hmm.
It really can chip away at our confidence, our happiness.
It really can.
And look, while that impulse, that comparison thing, it might be kind of innate, when it turns into this constant habit,
Yeah.
well, that's when we need to pay attention.
Yeah.
So our mission really with this deep dive is to explore why we fall into this trap, how it really affects us, and maybe most importantly, find some actionable steps to break free.
And we've dug into some really fascinating sources you provided, pulled out some key nuggets, sort of a shortcut to understanding these critical ideas.
Yeah, the goal is to help you, our listener, shift your focus away from, everyone else's benchmarks and more onto your own unique journey.
Absolutely. To celebrate your own worth and ultimately live a more joyful, confident life, free from those comparison shackles you might not even realize are there.
Okay, so where does this even start? The sources offer some really eye-opening stuff on the roots of this behavior. Seems like it begins way earlier than you might think, huh?
Oh, it absolutely does. A key thing from the sources is how it kicks off in childhood. Seriously, think back.
Yeah.
Who was faster on the playground? Who got the better test score? Or even, direct comparisons you heard from adults.
Oh, yeah. Why can't you be more like your cousin Sarah? That kind of thing.
Exactly. That kind of early conditioning, it often embeds this competitive, comparative way of thinking deep down, often without us even realizing it.
And that basic framework, it just sort of grows up with us, doesn't it? Shows up at work and relationships, just everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
And what the sources really hammer home is how social media then just pours gasoline on that fire. It amplifies it like crazy.
Precisely. You're scrolling through your feed and it's just highlight reel after highlight reel. Perfect smiles, amazing vacations, huge success stories.
And the immediate thought, even if you know better, is often just, wow, their life looks incredible. Mine feels kind of dull.
Right. And what the sources stress, and this is really critical, it's often overlooked.
Yeah.
It's not just about what people conveniently leave out of their posts.
Yeah.
It's also the subtle psychological thing it does to us. Like, you might consciously know it's filtered, it's edited, right?
Sure.
But your brain, on some level, still processes it like it's the full, real picture. And that gap, that dissonance, that's what fuels the feeling of inadequacy.
That makes sense. And there's another layer too, isn't there? Sometimes we compare downwards.
Yeah, the research gets into that. Sometimes we compare not to feel worse, but actually to feel a bit better. Like, well, at least I'm doing better than that person.
A little ego boost.
Sort of.
Yeah.
But the sources are really clear. This isn't genuine happiness. It's fragile. It's temporary, built on seeing someone else stumble. And honestly, it usually backfires. Leaves you feeling kind of empty.
The really sneaky part is how it just creeps in. Comparison often slides into our thoughts unconsciously, just quietly undermining our self-esteem.
Yeah.
And we don't even notice it's happening half the time.
But here's the empowering part, the good news. Once you start to notice it, once you become aware of that pattern running in your mind,
then you can start to change it.
Exactly. You gain the power to actively shift your thinking. Awareness is the first step.
Okay, so understanding the roots is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the sources also really dive deep into the impact, the the damage this constant comparing can do to our mental and emotional health. Let's explore that.
Yeah, and the impact is significant. It's not trivial. Yeah. When we're constantly comparing ourselves, especially upwards, it takes a real emotional toll. The sources directly link it to more sadness, more anxiety, frustration.
Like an energy drain.
A huge energy drain, yeah. And in some documented cases, it can actually contribute to symptoms that look a lot like clinical depression.
Wow. And it definitely breeds jealousy.
Yeah.
Right? You see someone else's life, their looks, their job, and instead of feeling inspired, you just feel inadequate.
Totally. That's often the default. And that jealousy, it can quickly spiral into some serious self-doubt.
How so?
You start thinking things like, maybe I'm just not smart enough, or maybe I'll never actually succeed like they have. And a critical point from the sources is how this self-doubt just kills your motivation.
Oh, yeah.
It makes you pull back, right? You stop trying new things because the gap between you and them feels too big, too impossible to cross.
I completely get that feeling, that paralysis. I remember looking at this YouTuber once. Their videos were just incredible. Production, creativity, everything. And my first thought wasn't, wow, cool. It was, I will never be able to make stuff like that.
Yeah.
And honestly, it stopped me. I didn't post anything for days because it just felt pointless.
That is such a relatable story. And it perfectly illustrates how comparison can just freeze you in your tracks. Did the sources talk about how to fight that specific feeling, that what's the point impulse?
They definitely did, yeah. And we'll absolutely get to the practical strategies in a bit. But what's also interesting is the flip side.
Okay.
I remember admiring this teacher once. She had this amazing high energy. And I started feeling bad because my style was much calmer, quieter. It felt like I was lacking something.
Right, but what's fascinating there, and the sources really unpack this, is that your perception of lacking was completely subjective. She might have seen your calm style as a huge strength. Didn't you find out later she actually admired your clarity?
That's exactly what happened.
Well,
she admired my calm explanations because they were so different from her high energy. It just goes to show.
Yeah.
Comparison completely blinds you to your own strengths. It makes you fixate on what you think is a weakness, sometimes something that isn't even a weakness at all.
And zooming out a bit, the material shows this can even mess with our relationships. Instead of genuinely celebrating when our friends succeed,
you feel threatened.
Exactly. You can feel threatened, which might lead you to judge them, maybe subconsciously, or just judge yourself even more harshly when you're around them.
So the bottom line here seems to be that comparison consistently makes us feel less, not more.
Precisely. Which is exactly why becoming aware of it, really seeing how it works in your own mind, is such a crucial first step towards making a change.
Okay, so that leads us nicely into this really powerful idea the sources kept bringing up. Everyone's journey is different.
Yes. This is fundamental.
Because life just isn't a race, right? And it's funny, the sources even touch on the brain science behind why we still try to see things as linear, even when we know deep down everyone's path is unique. It's like a weird mental habit we have to consciously fight.
It really is. We all have different starting points, different goals, different struggles, completely different timelines. Mm-hmm. The material used a beautiful analogy that really stuck with me: flowers.
Oh, yeah.
Think about roses, sunflowers, tulips. They don't all bloom at the exact same time, do they? But they're all beautiful, uniquely beautiful. And we don't look at a sunflower and criticize it saying, hey, why aren't you a rose?
No, we definitely don't.
Yeah.
But we do that to ourselves constantly.
All the time.
We torture ourselves with thoughts like, okay, I'm 25, I should be further along, or look at them, they're younger and they've already achieved X, Y, Z. But the truth is, your path is yours alone. It's not theirs.
And there was this one phrase from the sources, really simple but quite transformative. I'm not behind, I'm on my own path.
Ooh, I like that. I'm not behind, I'm on my own path.
Just repeating that internally, it can genuinely start to shift your whole inner story.
So the takeaway is, next time you feel that little sting of inadequacy or that pressure to keep up, just try to remember that. You're not late. You're just on your own timeline.
Exactly. Your own unique timeline.
Okay, let's pivot now. We have to talk about what the sources basically call the biggest comparison machine ever invented.
Ah, yes. Social media.
Instagram, TikTok, Facebook.
Yeah.
You name it.
And what's crucial here isn't just that these platforms exist, but understanding how they fundamentally mess with our self-perception, even when we think we're immune.
Right. You're just constantly bombarded with these curated images, perfect lives, perfect bodies, perfect homes. And that immediate gut reaction, often subconscious, is just, why doesn't my life look like that?
But then we have to keep saying this. It is not the full picture. It's not even close.
Not even close.
The sources really emphasize people post their wins, their highlights, their most flattering angles. They generally don't post the messy breakdowns, the boring Tuesdays, the failures.
And let's be real, most photos are tweaked, filtered, edited, sometimes heavily. They create an illusion of perfection that our brains, in that quick scroll, often just accept as reality.
And here's the real danger, a key finding from the research. We can start tying our actual self-worth to things like likes and followers.
Yeah.
So if a post doesn't do well, it doesn't just feel like, oh, bad algorithm day. It can feel like, I am not good enough. It hits deep.
So how do we deal with this? How do we navigate this digital world more mindfully? The sources suggest a strategy of conscious consumption.
Right, which means before you even start scrolling, maybe pause and ask yourself, okay, wait, is this likely real? How is this content actually making me feel? Is it lifting me up or is it dragging me down?
That takes intention.
It does. And another really powerful practical step the research strongly backs is curate your feed ruthlessly. Meaning, don't be afraid to unfollow people or pages that consistently make you feel bad about yourself, envious, or inadequate. It's not rude, it's self-preservation. Protect your mental space.
Yeah, that makes sense. Follow people who actually inspire you instead.
Exactly. Follow accounts that educate you or inspire you or just genuinely make you feel good. Not ones that constantly whisper that you're somehow less than.
Okay. This brings us to what feels like the core shift. The thing that changes everything, which the sources explored really deeply. Stop focusing so much on others and consciously turn that focus inward onto yourself.
Yes, exactly. The material makes it clear when we're constantly looking outward, doing that comparison dance, we completely miss what's actually happening inside us.
So it pushes you to ask different questions.
Right. Like, what do I actually enjoy? Forget everyone else for a second. What do I need today? Not just what's everyone else doing or what does everyone else expect of me?
And one of the most powerful tools for this inward turn, mentioned again and again in the sources, is gratitude.
Yeah, but not just a vague feeling of thankfulness. It's about a specific practice.
Like gratitude journaling.
Exactly. The research suggests that consistently, like daily, writing down maybe 3 small, specific things you're genuinely thankful for, it actually starts to rewire your brain.
How so?
It trains your mind to actively look for and notice the good things already present in your life right now instead of constantly scanning for what's missing compared to others.
Okay, that's powerful. He's building on that.
Yeah.
Celebrating small wins.
Yes. And the sources emphasize this isn't about needing huge achievements. Maybe you didn't hit the same milestone as someone else, but hey, You showed up today. You put in the effort.
Acknowledging the effort itself.
Precisely. Acknowledging that consistent effort, no matter the immediate result, builds that inner motivation, that sense of capability.
And what about the way we talk to ourselves?
Ah.
That inner critic.
Oh, huge. The sources highlight how vital our internal dialogue is. They offer this really simple but kind of revolutionary rule of thumb.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't say it to a friend, don't say it to yourself.
Oof. That hits home.
Right. Practicing that kind of conscious, kinder self-talk is absolutely crucial for building up a more resilient sense of self.
And can we actually use comparison constructively? Turn it around.
Absolutely. The material suggests you can transform comparison into inspiration. So when you see someone doing something amazing, instead of feeling small,
Ask what you can learn.
exactly. Reframe it. Ask, okay, what specific things can I learn here? What skills did they build? What was their approach? It shifts you out of envy and into active learning mode.
That's a great reframe. And lastly, something subtle but powerful from the sources. Choose your company wisely.
Yes. The people you spend the most time with, they really do rub off on you. They influence how you see yourself.
So actively choose people who lift you up.
Yes. People who celebrate your journey, your wins, big or small. Not people who consistently leave you feeling like you're somehow behind or just not measuring up.
Okay, so we talked about the roots, the harm, the mindset shifts. What does this look like day to day? How do we actually build self-worth consistently?
It really boils down to small, consistent habits. The sources suggest things like daily affirmations.
Like looking in the mirror and saying, I am enough.
Yeah, but thinking of them less as magic spells and more as conscious reframing tools. Saying things like, I'm enough, I'm doing my best, I believe in myself. The research suggests that consistent mindful repetition really can subtly shift those deep-seated subconscious beliefs over time.
Okay. And also just doing things that make you feel good about you, right? Independent of what anyone else thinks.
Exactly. Engage in activities that connect you to yourself. Maybe it's helping someone else. Maybe it's learning a new skill, creating something, art, music, writing, or even just spending quiet time in nature, things that build that intrinsic sense of worth.
And celebrating effort again, not just the final score.
Yes, the sources stress this repeatedly, focusing on the process, the showing up, the trying, rather than only the outcome builds resilience. It helps you bounce back. You showed up today, that is a win. Full stop.
There's also the physical connection, right? Body and mind.
Absolutely fundamental. The sources really explore this link. Taking care of your body, getting enough rest, eating foods that make you feel good, moving in ways you enjoy.
It all connects.
It totally connects. When you feel better physically, it provides a much stronger foundation for your mental and emotional well-being, including your self-worth.
And finally, what about when we mess up? Because we all do.
Oh, crucial point. Practice radical self-compassion. The research is clear. Being kind to yourself when you stumble, rather than beating yourself up, actually improves your ability to learn from the mistake and grow.
So don't be your own worst critic.
Be your own best friend.
Yeah.
Seriously, treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding you'd offer a friend in the same situation.
Okay, so before we wrap up this deep dive, there's one last message, something that really distills everything we've explored from the material.
Let's hear it.
You are enough.
Yes. Simple, powerful, true.
You really are. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have everything figured out. You don't need to hit some imaginary external target to be worthy.
Absolutely. Your unique story, your strengths, even your struggles, all of it matters. It's authentically you.
And remember, growth takes time. It really does. So be patient with yourself. Profoundly patient. Every single step forward, honestly, no matter how tiny it feels. it counts.
So maybe just take a breath right now, listener, and really try to internalize this affirmation. I am enough. I am worthy.
Because you truly are. We absolutely believe in your journey, in your unique capacity to grow and flourish.
Keep growing, keep believing.
And most importantly, just keep being you.